So I just watched this video of Acheeto, one of my favorite Leafy clones, responding to a content creator that I actually used to watch for some fuck all reason when I was like 14. Now I didn't watch a lot of his content to stick around for very long. It was legit just him discussing a game that I never actually played. And Acheeto's first criticisms were about that game because apparently he stole some lines of code and wasn't delivering on the game, which fair enough, those are decent points, but then it gets fucking retarded from there. Like really dumb. Like really fucking dumb. And that shit hell rubbed me the wrong way. Now, from what I remember of the guy, well, there's really not much. He'd just be playing the game and discussing some cool quests you could do or glitches to exploit. And I was out of content to watch, so I watched that shit. Now, one of the things I clearly remember him saying, and this will become important very soon, is why on earth are these kids playing my game? If you're under 18, you shouldn't even be here. Which I think is the most fair statement anyone could ever make. If you're under 18, you either grow up here or get the fuck out. You're not entitled to making others have to live their online lives differently because you want it to be where you didn't belong. The internet doesn't have to become kid-friendly to make the kids happy. For the same reason, Pornhub shouldn't have to remove all the porn on their site in case any kids are watching and it traumatizes them. Because that's not their fault. The morons shouldn't even have been on there. That's their parents' fault for letting their kids on there. We don't need to pay attention to how we fucking act because some morons who weren't supposed to be here might not like it. No fucking way, dude. That's beyond retarded. Now, with that said, let's see Yandere here explain what exactly he did wrong. Other than the other two things, which, yeah, to be fair, stealing and not delivering is sort of gang. Yeah, I guess. And then let's see what Acheeto has to say about it.
Hello, I'm Yandere Dev, the developer of Yandere Simulator. Last year, an extremely serious allegation was made about me that I would like to address. The accusation is that I attempted to groom an underage fan of my game. I will take accountability and admit that I did discuss inappropriate topics with a fan.
Alright man, right off the bat, I can make this assertion. Groomer or not, you need to be careful when you're talking to minors when you just so happen to be 35 years of age. The earth has rotated 35 times since you were born, and that makes you more liable to having strange conversations with minors.
No, not so fast. You need to be careful what you say online. Again, I haven't watched this guy a lot, but I can clearly remember him saying, why on earth are these kids playing my game? If you're under 18, you shouldn't even be here. Leave. And indeed, kids shouldn't be online. Whatever happens to them is their parents' fault, because when you speak online, you have every reason and right to tread forward, assuming everyone around you is 18. That's literally free speech rights, because Snowflake's doing something Yandere agrees they shouldn't even be doing, shouldn't disenfranchise anyone from living freely as if the Snowflakes didn't fucking exist.
When you just so happen to be 35 years of age, the earth has rotated 35 times since you were born, and that makes you more liable to having strange conversations with minors. You need to be careful, alright?
No, you don't need to be careful. Free speech. Again, why don't we start telling porn stars this shit? You know kids could access that site, right? If they can access this porn, they can access that site. You fucking are posting this grotesque sexual stuff on. You could be sexualizing kids. And it's like, no shit, but that's their fucking problem. If they're here, that's not my fault. Kids should get the fuck off the internet. And I remember him saying that over and over. If you have a problem with that, either grow up here or go back where you belong. Which would be digging a hole like in the ground with a spoon. Yeah, go do that shit and leave the adults and people who grew up here alone, dude.
However, the accusation that I deliberately attempted to groom this fan is false. In this video, I would like to apologize for what I feel I should apologize for. But I would also like to give you the full story so that you know what is true and what isn't true. Let's start at the beginning.
Like, there's no way I'm getting groomed as a 16-year-old when, like, some of the guys I'm talking to are married with, like, kids or kids on the way. But when you're Yandere Dev and you don't have a wife and kids and you're 35 and you're talking to 16-year-old girls, it's still strange, you know? 35-year-old man talking to a 16-year-old girl and trying to be friends. It's just weird. Get friends your own age, okay? I feel like it's not really that hard.
Get friends your own age. Why the fuck would anyone need to do that? The internet is there for that and stuff like that, not to fucking matter. For you to be able to socialize more, because appearances don't matter and that's why you don't see them. That's why many people don't put their real faces in their avatar. All you need is common interests and common values to be friends. Like, that's just fucking retarded. And you can also assume all these people are either 18, either willing to be spoken to as if they were that age. Because again, if they aren't, they just don't belong on a platform full of grown-ups who are socializing because they aren't of age.
So this guy needs friends that he can talk to in real life. He needs to get out there and talk to some women or something. Like, this just can't be happening, okay? You can't just allow your only avenue of social connection to be through 16 or 15-year-old girls on social media. it's not gonna work. It's not sustainable.
Dude, whoever said this was his only friend, he legit ended up blocking her. She was just a public nuisance going out of her way to talk to people who, if they shouldn't be talking to her, she definitely shouldn't be talking to them either, right? Because no shit. And she ended up doing all that just to victimize him. Because this fucking dirty ended up recording a conversation with him. Now, we all know, if you're a kid or an adult, again, that's why you don't put your 9-year-old in front of GTA or some horse shit, because their brains might not be developed enough to know how a block button works. This girl might be retarded, who knows? But the bottom line is, if someone tells you something that makes you feel uncomfortable online, firstly, your feelings don't have rights, especially online. But the reason for that is your feelings don't even have to be hurt. You could just leave and spear them yourself. That's why people feel comfortable shit-talking one another online. Because nobody has to take it personally. If you don't like the fact this guy's talking to you, you don't like what he's saying, you can either tell him that, or if you don't want to, if he refuses to stop. Again, you don't have to hear any of this shit. The idea that you could be a victim over the internet is just fucking comical. Like, yeah, just say your computer victimized you because you have a screen addiction. You just couldn't get off your phone because... actually, you could just shut the fuck up because you're a product of incest, right?
It's not gonna work. It's not sustainable. It is weird. It does make you look like a groomer. It could mean that you're actually a groomer and we just don't know yet, or so you gotta knock it off, like, right this instant.
No, again, if people are snowflakes, they should get the fuck out. You don't have to stop having free speech because snowflakes. Nobody cares. These people shouldn't be here if they're underage. And if you let that happen and then set the standard that this type of stuff is very, very bad when there's consent on both sides by default if nobody has blocked the other person yet. Yeah, if consent isn't what matters in ages, when the internet makes it so if someone who shouldn't be flirting with you does exactly that, you don't need to be protected because you legit have a button to do that for you. If we go by this fucking standard, you could be a predator. You don't know anybody's age until they tell you, and in this case, Yandere did, I know, and I'd argue that just doesn't fucking matter because, again, there's a block button if anybody has a problem, but... yeah, with that standard, with how the internet works, you could use a voice changer, different profiles, lie about your age. For all we know, you could be a fucking cyber rapist, dude. We both could be, although I have no friends, so I'm clean, dude.
When this would happen, I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, but I rationalized to myself that it was no big deal and just kept talking with her. Eventually, I must have said something that sounded like a red flag to her, because at some point, she started to record our conversations just in case I turned out to be some kind of predator. She showed our conversations to a YouTuber, and the YouTuber decided, yep, this guy seems like a groomer. We need to expose him. From what I've been hearing, it kind of sounds like the YouTuber started coaching the girl on how to manipulate me into saying things that would make me look bad. Because I had gotten into the habit of being really candid around this girl and just casually responding to whatever she said, it was very easy for her to get recordings of me answering questions I shouldn't have answered and discussing topics I should not have discussed. And the YouTuber then used those recordings to make a 40-minute long video accusing me of being a groomer.
Okay, so I hope we can all tell at this point that the only people who are being abusive in this situation are that girl, right? And whoever that piece of shit is pulling her strings. But either way, privacy is something that matters, unlike your feelings, because, well, I just spent the last 5 minutes explaining that in like 4 different ways, but as much as you should assume when you join a call or some shit, you know, to avoid the public nuisance of someone who's not supposed to be here ruling the environment of the discussion because you now have to atone for their age. Yeah, it's fair to assume everyone's your age, right? Yeah, it's also fair to assume people aren't going to fucking leak what you say in private because that shit is fucking private. If you release DMs, yeah, unless some person's trying to blackmail you, just because you felt uncomfortable talking to them, yeah, no, on so many levels. And the worst thing is, you know, if someone asked this girl to keep speaking to him and record him, if the guy was suspecting that he was hitting on this underage girl online and he had a problem with that, you'd imagine he'd say, block him, never speak to him again. But no, he said, go and keep speaking to him while recording him, so we can hope he starts hitting on you again. Yeah, if you're someone who's genuinely concerned about an underage girl getting hit on by an older guy, I doubt your reaction would be to try to get that underage girl back in that situation with the hope that it happens again. Like, whoever that guy was clearly just wanted to take a dirty stab at this game creator, and this slut just acted as his pawn. Now, like, I wish I could show you all this, but my old channel got shut down, right? Basically, I left the stream AFK with Discord AFK for a few hours, and someone in the chat posted some shit on there that's not allowed on YouTube. But since I had Discord open, it went straight onto my stream, so that's a huge rip, right? But Like, I used to stream Minecraft for like 3 hours a day, and I did that for like 3 years straight, from when I was 15 to when I was 18. And since I was playing video games on Hypixel, dude, the chat was as toxic as you could get. I just make a public party, which is basically where anyone on the server could type in a command in chat and join your party. And then whenever you queue a game, everyone in your party would be warped into that game. And I basically have a Discord server, which still exists and is fucking dead now, that was dedicated for these live streams. I'd get as many people as I could by spamming my party join command in every lobby of every game, and then we'd all join the call and talk, right? Now, there were people of all ages. Most of them were like pretty toxic, and I quickly became that way too because it was funny. But yeah, I was 15 and I had a webcam, so people sort of knew that I was 15. And I'd often get like 30-year-olds joining the call saying they wanted to rape me and shit. Yeah, well, guess what? That made me feel sort of uncomfortable, dude. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Yeah, that shit would happen all the time, dude. Between that and people just blowing in their mics to give me cancer. Yeah, I hated all of that shit. But guess what? That's the bag I put myself in because I decided to join the internet and make those parties with the Discord calls. And all that time, I knew if I really had a problem with that, I could just mute these people, which oftentimes I did. And when they'd start flooding my DMs with shit like, I know where you live, because I literally doxed my fucking address because I'd lost a YouTube challenge. Yeah, it was fucking retarded, but yeah, I tell them, you should know where I live because I fucking posted it. But let me guess, you somehow still got that shit wrong anyway. Yeah, I just shit talk them back. Or if I didn't feel like it because they were being too weird, I just ignored them. That's not victimhood. If anyone's a predator here, you're your own predator because you have all the tools to remove yourself from the situation. People should get to say whatever they want to whoever they want if that person doesn't have to hear any of it. I did that when I was 15, and Jesus Christ, I heard some fucked up shit from adults who were probably just trolling me. Probably didn't even have any interest in me because on Hypixel, most people are just fucking trolling, dude. Tough shit, right? Hey, you have a problem with your feelings getting hurt? Again, go dig with a spoon in your backyard and come back in 3 or 4 years, okay?
Because I had gotten into the habit of being really candid around this girl and just casually responding to whatever she said, it was very easy for her to get recordings of me answering questions I shouldn't have answered and discussing topics I should not have discussed. And the YouTuber then used those recordings to make a 40-minute long video accusing me of being a groomer. Grooming is when an adult tries to establish a relationship with a child with the intention of exploiting or abusing the child. That doesn't describe what I did. I didn't develop a friendship with the girl for that reason. That wasn't my intention. I did not attempt to establish a romantic or sexual relationship with the girl. But after having my behavior explained to me as commonly associated with romance, I can understand how it was interpreted that way.
If I was in your position, that would be one of the biggest things on my mind. Like, oh, I have to make sure that I'm not being too weird or too flirty or something like that. And only until after someone read back the messages that you sent to this girl and told you, hey, this could come across as flirting, did you realize that these could come across as flirting? No, I don't buy that. If you literally needed someone to analyze the messages that you were sending in order to find out if they were okay or not, then in my opinion, you should just not be allowed to talk to girls ever. And that's a crazy punishment, but if that's how it has to be, that's how it has to be. If you can't talk to girls without looking like an oddball, then you just can't talk to girls, bro. Don't hate the player, hate the game. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Dude, I love how this guy's saying, if you can't handle the heat, get the fuck out because you don't belong here. But in the context of a snowflake going on the internet and talking to someone who's just going by their lives, who they never had to speak to and never had to keep speaking to, they were again too young or stupid to know what a block button is, so they should probably not even get to go play outside without supervision in case they accidentally stop breathing or some shit, because that's the level of stupid we're talking here now, right? I knew how to use a block button at 15. So yeah, someone clearly handicapped whose parents don't love them and therefore let them use the internet anyway and start being a public nuisance to people by getting close to them and then complaining about how she started flirting with them and then they started flirting back. Again, he's telling that guy that he doesn't belong and should get the fuck out. That's fucking rich. And also, it's not even like someone actually had to point out that he was being inappropriate. No. Like again, all I know of this situation is your video here because I haven't seen Yandere or followed up with this content in over 5 years. But what did that someone do upon hearing this? Did they tell that girl to stay away from him? Because if you genuinely believe someone is taking advantage of an underage girl and you're concerned about that, the last thing you do is tell them to go back in there and get taken advantage of some more so you could have a little YouTube clip you could do whatever with. No, no, fucking no, fucking no. So the guy was clearly not trying to let him know he did something wrong or keep people safe. He just wanted clout and he wanted to do it on this person. But yeah, as you're about to see, the only reason this guy said what he said was because she started that shit. And the way that guy twisted it was, well, really fucked up. Watch that shit.
I feel like it's worth mentioning that a lot of the remarks I made only sound bad when they're out of context. For example, there was one time when the girl jokingly said, "You should make an OnlyFans." And I said, "No, that's dumb. No one would ever want to see that."
Facts.
And
No one
she
would
said
want to
something
see
like,
that.
"Come on, it's so easy to make money on OnlyFans." And when I heard that, I thought, whoa, that's a little concerning. Don't tell me that social media is brainwashing this generation to think that they should just go directly into porn the second they turn 18 because it's the best way to get rich quick. That's a little concerning. I wanted to know if she was joking or if she was being serious. So I asked her, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" And of course, the YouTuber used the recording of me saying, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" to frame me as someone who initiates horrifically inappropriate discussions with children.
Okay, so based off of that, and by the way, Acheeto doesn't try to debunk this or say it wasn't true. We'll get into what he says in just a second, but right off the bat, it should be very obvious at this point that whoever that guy is, and the girl who recorded that so he could take that out of context, yeah, they're complete grifters, and they don't give a shit about child safety. This girl literally brought up OnlyFans. She legit asked him if he had one. You cannot, again, cannot claim you are the victim of sexual exploitation if you first are online because block button. But most importantly, you just asked the guy if he had a site where you could see him fucking naked. Like, you've lost all plausible deniability of being a victim. That shit's gone. It was already gone as soon as you said this happened online, obviously. But this just makes it comical that anyone wouldn't take Yandere's side here. Some underage girl tried to get close to him so she could flirt with him, probably because he is a big name online. He didn't even do that. Again, nobody had to tell him, "You're going overboard, you're being kinda weird," because he didn't do that shit. But the only weird vibes anyone should be getting are from that girl. And then she records him privately with some actual adult in the background coaching her on how to properly take advantage of him. Like, there's an open and shut case, but let's hear this shit anyway, dude.
Yeah, but again, this is the sort of thing where you shouldn't need a coach to assist you while you're having conversations. Let me just help you out. When this 16-year-old girl asked you if you were starting an OnlyFans, you go, "No, I am not starting an OnlyFans. That would be gross." And then she says, "Why? It's so easy to make money." You say, "Well, I wouldn't be making that much money, I think." And that's that. Because you admit it sounds bad hearing it back, that you asked a 16-year-old girl if she was gonna start an OnlyFans. We can't hear your internal monologue.
Well, that doesn't fucking matter, because in the context of what was being said in that conversation, it made perfect sense. And since that girl was following along because she was leading the conversation, she fucking knew what he said. Again, when you're in private, you shouldn't have to worry about what if something you said could be taken out of context, because that shouldn't happen. And by the way, this guy wasn't coaching him. I don't know how you got that shit confused. Yandere Dev just said he was coaching her to properly be able to take advantage of him. Again, not sure how the fuck you got that mixed up, so clearly you're capable of misspeaking, which the guy didn't even misspeak. The girl asked him a question and he said, "No, what are you doing this shit?" What the fuck is wrong with that? The guy made the perfect response. If she has the right to ask him that question, he has that right too. The fuck is this unequal rights for people who actually belong online because they aren't kids? That's just my fucking brain hurts, dude.
You gotta walk it like you talk it, my man. Go on a dating app and find some girls your age. I heard they just dropped the $500 Tinder premium package. You should look into that. I know you got bread from this game. You can easily invest $500 into that subscription and find a gold digger who would touch you.
Okay, so that part really rubbed me the wrong way, because let's just say this guy's actually into underage girls, right? You legit unironically telling them to go find a gold digger his age. And I'm sorry, but that's like telling a gay person to go get their dad to arrange a marriage since they can't pick any girls. And let me just explain why that is, alright? So there are some very few people who are sadly into others who are like half their age. That really sucks for them, right? But meanwhile, there are also some very few people like me, right? Who happen to be mostly into people who are like twice their age. When I was 15, I was into 30-year-olds. And I'm sure if I actually looked attractive, some 30-year-olds might have been into me too. Some people are into rather white girls or black girls, and that's not racist, just like there are guys who are into guys and girls who are into girls, and it's not sexist to be gay. Point is, all of that is some common ground, which is that it's not a fucking choice. You don't control who you're into. That's the same for everybody, very much including me. Now, different people are into different people, and at the end of the day, everyone sort of has to either find someone who suits them, who they're perfect for as well, or move on. And there are some social norms of what's considered socially acceptable or not. Like, for the longest time, if you were gay, that wasn't acceptable. But fuck those people, because in a relationship, what matters is that the both of you are happy together, and the only thing that matters there is consent. So the problem comes when a relationship doesn't have that. But again, on the internet, that was consent by definition, because you both have a block button and don't have to engage with anything anyone else says, including what Acheeto just said, by the way. I can have a problem with it and ignore it, or I could talk some shit about it like I'm doing here. But I'm not gonna say he abused my feelings. But yeah, this shit always rubbed me the wrong way, because when I was around 13, I started realizing that most of the people I would ever have a crush on, if they would have ever loved me back, they would be considered a predator and I would be considered a victim, when it could easily have been the other way around. Because again, you don't control who you're attracted to. This shit's legit just luck and nothing else, right? So I quickly realized, holy shit, this could have happened to me and there's nothing you could do about it. People just don't like seeing it, but it's not like you could change who you're attracted to. Like, I know what this guy Acheeto would say, right? If you're a pedophile, go get some help. And sure, if you're actually like a 60-year-old into straight up infants and you have some urge that could make you a dangerous person, that's fair enough, and that's a whole different conversation. But this go get help shit, right? Dude, I was like 13 when I realized, what the fuck were they telling gay people? Oh yeah, gay therapy, they should go get help too. But what do you know, if someone tells you could just go get help to go cure your sexual orientation, it's probably bullshit, right? Yeah, you're into the wrong type of people, go get help. Yeah, I've heard that shit forever, and just considering the fact that since I was 13, I had to hear that shit and realize that could just as well have been me, and I just hate myself even more than I do now, and there's nothing I could be doing about it, that just makes me fucking mad, dude. Again, at 15, I was into 30-year-olds, so I understand the discrimination perfectly. Any girl I would fantasize over, I'd have to live knowing in any world where a dream girl of mine might love me back, any dream girlfriend in the real world would be someone who's constantly suffering from the fact they'd be capable of even loving me in the first place. So me finding love would legit just mean someone's life being absolute torture because of bad luck and nothing else. And it's literally just that, like, it's sick. Now you might say, well, you can't really get consent from a kid, so it's by definition predatory. Well, obviously I've covered this, but in such a relationship, the younger person has to be the one who makes the first move, otherwise yes, it's predatory. You can have 30-year-olds just going around flirting with 15-year-olds they find attractive. That could mentally scar them for life. But in this case, that's actually exactly what happened. The younger person started that shit, and on top of that, if at any point in time she felt uncomfortable, she could just block him. But instead of doing that, she chose to be the predator because she knew she could use her identity, in other words her age, to make her abuse come out as her being the victim. And that's pretty sick, dude. Wait, so the game developer here then goes on to apologize, which I would never have done, by the way, for being antisocial. Yeah, that's me too, and that's not a fucking choice either. And other people could just not talk to him if they don't want to. Again, let's not pretend that an open conversation online doesn't go both ways. He's just talking to someone who's saying, get away from me, and he just won't listen. That framing's complete horseshit. We know you're antisocial because you made a game where the main character is legit a psychopath by your own admission, if I remember well. And the game is also inherently sexual in the fact that the whole story is basically you play like a girl who's trying to get this guy to love her and has to kill people to reach that goal. So the game's also graphic. Again, another reason why the developer said kids shouldn't play it. But if that kid was talking to him, I guess she probably played this game too. So, I mean, by Acheeto'S logic, this guy's now a groomer times 2. But like, whatever, dude. Acheeto'S logic's fucking retarded, so it doesn't really matter. But either way, Acheeto then goes on to say there's just no way in hell this guy could still claim innocence after what he did. And someone who's a Leafy clone should understand why this is horseshit more than anyone. Because when you make fun of someone online, it could literally just be autistic and you never knew about it. Look at me, I'm autistic and you probably called me gay in like 4 different ways if you got this far into the video. Well, there you go. You could be a predator if you decide we hold people accountable for what they say so as to not hold people accountable for their feelings. Well, that's the road this guy wants to take, so let's hear this shit.
Over the past 10 years, I neglected absolutely every aspect of my well-being, in favor of working on my video game project. I almost never left my house for any reason. I had no social life whatsoever, and I had no one that I could call a true friend.
Yeah, so I don't even know why he says this shit. You don't need to be antisocial or have some type of excuse to have some random person who claims to be interested in your game who starts talking to you someday. Sounds interesting and, quote, has an adult sense of humor. You being interested in speaking to that person too. And eventually, because they happen to be a weirdo and they happen to be speaking to you because you're on the internet where you could find all types of crazy people, and this happened to be one of them. One day, they ask you a weird question and you just respond in kind and add, well, that's a weird question, what the fuck, man? Then it turns out that person was a predator all along, who was trying to take advantage of you by firstly baiting you into speaking with them on a regular, by letting you know you share common interests, and by trying to spend time with you. So they could then bait you into making a sexual comment by just making one first and bringing the topic up. Also, they could just record it and set you up. Yeah, that can happen to anybody. You don't have to be antisocial. Again, there are spies in the government who do this shit to government officials who are almost all, by definition, good public speakers, who are aware of their surroundings to some extent. They have to give a good impression if they want to keep their post, so these people have to be social. And still you'll have double agents pretending to be your friends so they could get close to you, and no shit they shouldn't, and it works. Anyone could be set up. Fucking anyone. Right, so Acheeto then goes on to frame this as more or less inappropriate behavior that's unexcusable without bad intentions, but still with a victim. I think that's bullshit. I think Yandere Dev is the only victim here. But yeah, that's just my opinion, and I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Peace.